So for this 3D video, we're just really looking at the trail elbow movement prior to impact, through impact, and post impact. Now, when looking at the trail arm, the trail elbow, the trail wrist, there's many different factors you could explore in the golf swing. For example, how much the arm bends, where the trail elbow travels relative to the rib cage, the right wrist, all of these different factors, and they would all influence each other to some extent. But really for this post or this video, we're just looking at the trail elbow positioning and movement prior to impact, through impact, and post impact in a good club golfer versus a good elite pro player. So we've got our club golfer on the left hand side, we've got the 3D trace. Let's wind it up to the top of the backswing and stop right there. So we see again that 3D trace in that red line showing us that 3D tracking system with that trail elbow and backswing. And again, as I said, there's many differences you probably already spotted in terms of where that trail elbow is and where the forearm is, where the wrist is, etc. But that's not really the goal of this video. So we're more focused on how that, again, player moves really in downswing. So let's work our way down to last shaft parallel in downswing with both these players. And we'll stop right there with the pro player on the left, or excuse me, on the right, and then the club golfer on the left-hand side. If we stop just about shaft parallel with both those players, we'll try and get them as close as we can possibly. The big difference you'll notice is the player on the right, the elite player, the tour player, the elbow is now back to the same position that it originally began from. So with the shaft parallel prior to impact, so we're just kind of moving into the impact zone, so to speak, that elbow is already back to where it began from in terms of its position. On the left hand side, the elbow is still quite a bit away from where it began. Okay, so we can see that yellow line if we look in here, that yellow line indicating the travel of the right elbow on the way down. It really hasn't got back to that same point that it originated from. So if we again go back to our elite player on the right hand side, how does the elbow move from there on in? Well, it continues moving towards target and then slightly on an upward curve till we get to around, let's say, impact there and just slightly post impact. But at that point in time, that elbow now is past that trail hip area. So now the elbow is ahead of, let's say, the trail hip from the perspective we're looking at it and starting to extend in that trail arm. We look at the player on the left hand side as they work their way down. Let's go to impact, and we can see again the elbow really only has got back to where it began from, slightly elevated from, but really in terms of the right to left or the lateral, it's only back to its original position. It's also quite a bit away from where that trail hip is, so nearly tailgating or trailing the rest of the body in that position. And again, these are very common things I see amongst club golfers very often when looking at that trail elbow. We could just use this player on the left hand side as a case study of one, and most are. However, these are traits that I quite often see happening quite a lot, and specifically on the right, or the comparison, excuse me, between the right and the left, we see these quite a lot in players. So on that right hand side again, that trail elbow now passing the trail hip, extending with the arm, and now as they work through that trail elbow, then passing the lead hip as that shaft just gets in about parallel to the ground on the way through. The player on the right hand side, when that shaft gets parallel to the ground on the way through, again, the right elbow really hasn't got past the lead hip now, so it's still quite a bit of a way away from what we see on the right hand side. It's definitely trying to move there and has extended, but again, just from where it's come from, that orientation is quite clear, our position, excuse me, is quite clear, where it hasn't really extended past that trail hip. So when we look at these movements and these kind of traits, let's say, between club golfer, a really elite player, tour player, in terms of what the trail elbow does, let's simply go back in time. Go back to the top of the backswing here. We'll take our arrows, our indicators out. What are some things to really look for? So first of all, at shaft parallel, has that trail elbow really returned to its original position? We can see right here on the left hand side, no, there's quite a difference between that point there where it is at the moment and where it originally began from. The elite player, however, shaft parallel, that trail elbow is not back to roughly the same position it originated from. It's also slightly ahead of the trail shoulder at that point in time if you're looking for another nice reference frame. So as that player continues on the right hand side, again, that elite player, as we get to impact, that trail elbow is now passing by the trail hip through that impact area. The player on the left hand side, that trail elbow never gets to that trail hip till post impact, and quite significantly post impact. And again, through to impact, shaft parallel, again on the left hand side, really that trail elbow never really getting past the lead hip, while on the right hand side, that trail elbow getting past the lead hip. So when you're looking at that trail elbow movement kind of prior to impact, into impact, and post impact, there are some nice traits to maybe observe when you're looking or assessing either your golf swing or someone that you're working with.